When we started our finished basement project, we talked about the need to make sure there's no excess moisture in your basement and to deal with those prior to finishing. We also talked about the need to seal cracks and joints in the slab to contain radon gases as well as to help contain moisture below the slab. The high quality caulk won't solve your moisture problems, but it can slow down moisture intrusion from below. If you're installing carpet, you may want to consider applying a good quality concrete sealer to the floor prior to installing. One last thing you may want to consider, depending on your location, is an insulating product below your flooring. Okay guys, so the carpet guys are supposed to be finished today. They were here, they got most of the carpet done on the main level, but the stairs, they actually ran out of material. So things don't always go perfectly. Apparently the guy that came out did the estimate and didn't measure quite everything that was here. So they're going to be back tomorrow. But the stuff that they did do, we're going to want to go through it today, check it, make sure that everything's 100%. We're going to check the seams, make sure those are nice and tight. We're going to check all the way around the baseboard, make sure they didn't, create any damage that they shouldn't have. There's always going to be some rough spots on the baseboards because of the way they lay the carpet in. But in this case, we're going to check, make sure there's no excessive damage, no excessive paint damage. Again, we'll make sure everything's tight, all the seams are good, and make sure that the transition at the doorways are where they're supposed to be. So let's go take a look. Okay, so the nice thing about this space that we've got here in this basement is that it's just under 12 feet wide. The good thing is most carpet comes in 12-foot widths. Since the carpet's 12 feet wide and the room's just slightly less than that, we've got very little waste, and we really only have one place that's going to have a seam, and that's right here by the doorway. Obviously that's not a good place to put a seam, but what I told the guys when they showed up was, I definitely want this to look perfect. This has to be the best seam that you've ever done because we are going to get a lot of traffic here going up the stairs. So you can't really see it there, but it's very difficult to find this seam. They did an absolute perfect job on it. So, if ever, right when a seam is first made, you're going to see that tape gives that section of carpet a little bit more thickness, so you're going to see it a little more. But as you vacuum it and as you walk across it, it has a tendency to lay back down. In this case, they trimmed it up, they vacuumed it, and it looks great. When you're bidding out your finished basement, be sure to review the seam locations from each of the bidders and make sure that before you actually sign a contract with a subcontractor to do your carpet, make sure that you like the locations of the seams. And if not, talk about other possible alternatives for locations. The other thing we want to check is to make sure that at all door transitions or doorways, we've got the carpet where we want it to be. We also want to make sure that our installer has provided us with transition strips that are appropriate for the location. In this case, we've only got one door in our finished basement that goes to the unfinished area, and our installer has used basically a brushed looking chrome transition strip which comes close to matching our other hardware throughout our finished basement. It's also a good idea to check the padding that was installed to make sure it's the quality, thickness, and style that you had requested. Believe it or not, in the houses I've built, on more than one occasion have I had the wrong padding installed. So definitely you want to take a look and make sure that the right one has been installed for your project. It's also common to have some damage or nicks and marks on the baseboards after the carpet's installed, just based on how they do it. But we just want to make sure at this point there's nothing excessive with our installation. One other thing we talked about during our trim carpentry quality check is that the base moldings have been left up 3/8 of an inch, and that allows our carpet guys to stretch the carpet and then tuck it underneath the baseboard, which makes a nice, clean, finished look. And as we go around the basement here, we can see everything's nice and tight. There's no gaps at the walls, so it really makes a nice finish. Well, that does it for our quality check for carpet for our finished basement. We're going to go ahead and call in our final building inspection for our basement and get ready to start moving in our stuff.